Welcome back. Let's move to our PowerPoint number 8, theoretical framework. So this is the framework that shows in the paper page 125. So as you can see, the name of the chart is the role of human capital cost framework. It talks about the human capital expenditure classification. So in this chart, you can see there are 4 quadrants. So in the 4 quadrants, it is divided by 2 elements. First of all is the uniqueness. The second one is the value. So we use high value and the high uniqueness of the employee to create the first quadrant. So since the human capital in this quadrant is with high value and high uniqueness, those are the most important human capital that a company can have. So to acquire this human capital, the hiring mode is to develop them from internal of the company. So the internal development is a hiring mode of this kind of human capital. So since those human capital are very valuable, they cannot be used by other company or create in the short term. So this kind of capital, we say it can create the company's core value or competitive advantage. So the human capital investment items in the first quadrant, they include learning costs in the middle stage of the development and the replacement costs at the final age. Because we must investment in those human capital to develop them and try to use more valuable or some very good benefit, replacement or pension to attract those human capital to stay in a company. So those costs we spend, we can treat them as assets in the first quadrant. So for example, in a Taiwan semiconductor company, for example, the director, Zhang Zhongmo, he is a very unique person. He has a leadership and a talent that you cannot find anywhere in other companies. So that kind of person is a critical human capital in a company. We call them human capital in the first quadrant. So at the bottom, we can see the second quadrant. So those human capital, although the uniqueness of the employee is low, but the value of the employees are high. So for example, like the accounting graduates. The accounting, we know, is a very difficult skill that we cannot learn accounting in maybe 3 months. It needs a lot of time to have the professional knowledge of accounting. So to those kind of people, it has high value to the company. Because for example, in the accounting firm, the accounting graduate has high value to accounting firm. But talking about the uniqueness, every year, we have many students that graduate from the university and the graduate school who got the accounting diploma. So the accounting profession itself is not uniqueness, but the value is high. It's a profession that can contribute to the company. So in this quadrant, the hiring mode should be outsourcing. We can, for example, acquire accounting graduates every year from many schools. So for this kind of people, we need to capitalize their learning costs as an asset. So the learning cost in the middle stage of the development is the human capital investment items in second quadrant. So for this kind of people, we can invest in them, and maybe in the future they can be promoted into the first quadrant as a unique and a valuable human capital in a company. So let's move to the left. In the third quadrant, So those kind of people who has a low uniqueness and low value. So the hiring mode is contract. For example, the security of the company, we can make a contract with a security company and ask them to send the people to safeguard the company. So the human capital investment item, yes, no, it's not, because all items we must list them as expenses. They have no direct value contribution to the company products or services. So in the fourth contract, so those people has high uniqueness of employee but low value to the company. For example, we need a lawyer in the company to help company to deal with the legal issues. However, for example, our company is not a law firm. We produce products and sell them to the consumers. So we don't need to employ a lawyer in a company, although it has uniqueness. Instead, we also make an alliance to those law firm, lawyer. We sign a contract to them, ask them to help us when we need them. Those kind of people, for example, lawyer, has no direct contribution to our products. For example, if we are making clothes, we cannot say there are any connection between the lawyer and our product, for example, clothes. But sometimes when we face difficult legal issues, we need help from the lawyer. Okay, so the money we spend on recruiting a lawyer or helping ask the help from a lawyer, what they charge is an expense, not an asset in a company. Okay, so let's move to the next slide, slide 9. So this is a flow chart that we also can see in our paper. So basically, we categorize all the human capital related expenses in current accounting. So from the left, the employees of high value and high uniqueness, for example, the human capital in first quadrant. So we capitalize the learning cost in the middle stage and the replacement cost in the final stage as assets. But we take the formation and the acquisition cost as an expense. In the middle, the employee from the high value and the low uniqueness from the second quadrant, we only capitalize the learning cost at the middle stage of the development as assets. So we expense the formation and the acquisition cost, and we also expense the replacement cost. So for those costs that we spend in human capital in third and fourth quadrant, all the costs related to those kind of human capital, we expense them immediately. They are not the investment in human capital. Okay, to sum up, there are two kinds of expenditures in first quadrant that we can capitalize them. They are the learning cost in the middle stage and the replacement cost in the final stage. And there are only one human capital related cost in the second quadrant that we can capitalize that. It is the learning cost in the middle stage. Let's move to a conclusion. So it's possible to measure the human capital cost first. Second, whether to capitalize or to expense the cost should be based on the nature of the human capital. And it suggests that certain human capital with high value, for example, the human capital in the first quadrant and the second quadrant, should be capitalized as assets because it creates the core value of a company competitive advantage. So thank you for your listening today.